Welcome to the Saints, the Standard of Truth Restored, Episode 11, The Voice of Innocence from Nauvoo. Let polygamy be frowned out of the hearts of honest men.
Hi, my name is Jamie Lynn Sharp. I'm Dave's wife, and we're here in Nauvoo, Illinois, visiting the whole historical sites that are offered here. And this is the Red Brick Store. Down below, as you guys can imagine, they sold dry goods, and up above, it's the place where they held meetings. One thing that's super important in the Red Brick Store is that they organized the Relief Society here in 1842. During the years of 1842 to 1844, Joseph and Hyrum, his brother, were having strong accusations that were held against them for practicing polygamy and also allowing other people to practice polygamy in Nauvoo. A lot of the women here in Nauvoo were tricked into polygamy because of the men using Joseph and Hyrum's name to give them approval during this time. And so they were using their name falsely. In response to this, Joseph Smith had William Phelps draft a document called the Voice of Innocence, and it was read in a grove over here to 8,000 saints that all of them said amen to. And then later on in this Red Brick Store here, they also read it in the Relief Society on 4 different occasions in 1844. And Emma Smith was present there. She actually amended the Voice of Innocence, and they all did a common consent and agreed to the document that was read. The Voice of Innocence was and is today a strong condemnation of polygamy in all of its forms and names. Let's go ahead and read it.
The Voice of Innocence from Nauvoo. The corruption of wickedness which manifested itself in such horrible deformity on the trial of Orsimus F. Bostwick last week for slandering President Hyrum Smith and the widows of the city of Nauvoo has awakened all the kindly feelings of female benevolence, compassion, and pity for the softer sex to spread forth the mantle of charity to shield the characters of the virtuous mothers, wives, and daughters of Nauvoo from the blasting breath and poisonous touch of debauchers, vagabonds, and rakes who have jammed themselves into our city to offer strange fire at the shrines of infamy, disgrace, and degradation, as they and their kindred spirits have done in all the great cities throughout the world, corrupting their way on the earth and bringing women, poor defenseless women, to wretchedness and ruin. As such ignoble blood now begins to stain the peaceable habitations of the saints and taint the pure air of the only city in the world that pretends to work righteousness and union as the sine qua non for happiness, glory, and salvation, and as such ungodly wretches, burning or smarting with the sting of their own shame, have doubtless transported with them some of the miserable dupes of their licentiousness for the purpose of defiling the fame of this goodly city, mildewing the honesty of our mothers, blasting the chastity of widows and wives, and corrupting the virtue of our unsuspecting daughters. It becomes us, in defense of our rights, for the glory of our fathers, for the honor of our mothers, for the happiness of our husbands, and for the welfare of our dear children, to rebuke such an outrage upon the sanctity of society, to thwart such a death blow at the hallowed marriage covenant, and to ward off such poisoned daggers from the hearts of our innocent daughters, for the honor of Nauvoo, and write with the indelible ink upon every such villain, beware of the wretch, and so put in every virtuous woman's hands a rod, to scourge such tormentors of domestic felicity with vengeance through the world. Curse the man that preys upon female virtue. Curse the man that slanders a woman. Let the righteous indignation of insulted innocence and virtue spurn him from society. Let the dignity of the mothers of Israel kick the bloodthirsty pimp from the pale of social communion. Let the widows and wives who tread in the footsteps of their queenly mother Eve drive such fag-ends of creation as was Cain to the land of Nod. And let the timid daughters of Nauvoo dread such cankerworms more than the pestilence that walketh in darkness, and shun them as the serpent on the land and the shark in the sea. My God, is there not female virtue and valor enough in this city to let such mean men die of the rot, that the sexton may carry their putrid bodies beyond the limits of the city for food, for vultures, and for eagles? Refuse them female courtesy. Deny them the pleasure of family correspondence and family intercourse. Curse the woman that speaks to such rotten flesh, if she knows who they are. Curse the man that will harbor them, and curse the lawyer that will stoop from the dignity of his profession to plead for them. The apologer is as mean as the murderer. Female virtue is a pearl of great price, and should glitter in the abodes of men, as in the mansions of bliss, for the glory and honor of him whose image she bears, and whose helpmeet she is. And every attempt of man to seduce that virtue is next to murder, a robbery that cannot be restored. If woman swerves from the rules of righteousness, ruin ensues, reproach and shame, and one false step bedims her fame. In vain the loss she may deplore, in vain review her life before. With tears she must in anguish be, till God says, set that captive free. Many of the distinguished females of Nauvoo have waded to their present habitation through persecution, sorrow, and death, robbed and insulted and bereaved of husbands and children by the combined powers of priests and spiritual wickedness in high places. But none of these piercing calamities of men touch the hearts of women with such severe poignancy as the envenomed slander of O.F. Bostwick, that he could take a half bushel of meal, obtain his vile purposes, and get what accommodation he wanted with almost any woman in the city. Woe to the wretch that can thus follow the blood-stained mobbers of Missouri in their hellish career, and deals his slander about the streets of Nauvoo, as he may imagine with impunity. Woe to the man or lawyer that filthifies himself by advocating such rotten-hearted ravens' rights to the sympathies of any being but Satan. Has any man a mother in the city? Honor says, clear such rubbish from her door. Has any man a wife? Benevolence whispers, trap such beasts of the field, that they may not wrong the flock, nor kill the lambs. Has any man a widowed mother? Humanity seems to caution him. Thy mother is in danger. Protect her from the stench of such carrion. Has any man daughters? The voice of reason compels him to exclaim, there is a wolf in the path, beware! Has any man sisters? The blood of his kindred says, evil be to him that evil thinks. And let the whole virtuous female population of the city, with one voice, declare that the seducer of female chastity, the slanderer of female character, or the defamer of the character of the heads of the church, or the cankerworms of our husband's peace, the prostitute or the pimps, whether in the character of elites, lawyers, doctor, or chichisbio, shall have no place in our houses, in our affections, or in our society. Wherefore, resolved unanimously, that Joseph Smith, the mayor of the city, be tendered our thanks for the able and manly manner in which he defended injured innocence in the late trial of O.F. Bostwick for slandering President Hyrum Smith and almost all the women of the city. Resolved unanimously that we view with unqualified disapprobation and scorn the conduct of any man or woman, whether in word or deed, that reflects dishonor upon the poor persecuted mothers, widows, wives, and daughters of the saints of Nauvoo. They have borne aspirations, slanders, and hardships enough. Forbearance has ceased to be a virtue, and retaliation, like the dagger or the bull, ought to close the lips of such cowardly assassins. Resolved unanimously that while we render credence to the doctrines of Paul, that neither the man is without the woman, neither is woman without the man in the Lord, yet we raise our voices and hands against John C. Bennett's spiritual wife system, as a scheme of profligates to seduce women, and they that harp upon it wish to make it popular for the convenience of their own cupidity. Wherefore, while the marriage bed undefiled is honorable, let polygamy, bigamy, fornication, adultery, and prostitution be frowned out of the hearts of honest men, to drop in the gulf of fallen nature, where the worm dieth not, and the fire is not quenched. And let all the saints say, Amen.
Well, how about that? The Voice of Innocence, in my opinion, is one of the strongest speeches and documents that we have in our possession that shows that Joseph, Emma, and Hyrum fought against polygamy. They didn't leave any room for confusion. Let polygamy, bigamy, fornication, adultery, they named it all, be frowned out of the hearts of honest men. And then, just to make sure that nobody missed it, did you catch all of the insults that they made to these people who were seducing these women? Debauchees, vagabonds, and rakes, very immoral people, ungodly wretches and villains, tormentors of domestic felicity, bloodthirsty pimps, my personal favorite, fag ends of creation. It's probably my personal favorite just because it sounds funny, but I actually looked it up. A fag end of creation. The fag end is like the frayed end of a rope or the refuse of something. So it's like the leftover stuff after God was done with creation. Like he didn't even need this anymore. Oh, canker worms and rotten flesh. Carry-on, seducers, slanders of female character, prostitutes and pimps have not have any place in our society. These are some of the insults that they used just to make sure that they weren't mixing any words. I love the Voice of Innocence. Very strong evidence of Joseph's innocence, Hyrum's innocence, and Emma was telling the truth. Now, I was having a lot of technical difficulties with this video, and so I was not able to do what I wanted to. I actually recorded another 20-30 minutes about the narrative that is painted about Emma and the Relief Society with this document. Somehow, the historians and also Brigham Young were able to turn this document into a way to attack Emma and the Relief Society. And that narrative is still being carried on by historians today and blaming Emma and the Relief Society for Joseph and Hyrum's death. So I did another 20 minutes on it. I'm hoping to upload it here in the next few days, but I've been having super bad technical difficulties. Like seriously, tried to upload this thing for like 6 hours today. Finally just had to delete the extra portion. But hopefully that comes out soon. I'm looking forward to getting it out to you soon. You're not going to want to miss it. So will it be like the Voice of Innocence? Don't Believe the Historians Part 2.